Hello guys, welcome to Afro Matters with Jumi and Olie. My name is Olie.
And I'm Jumi.
And my full names are Oluchukwu Emmanuel Anyamele.
And I'm Olajumoke Morenike Adegbola. I'm Jumoke, I'm Olajumoke, I'm Jumi. That's me.
Yeah, a lot of things you are known with, isn't it? So, today, we will be introducing our channel and what we are all about. All right, and we started this channel because some things motivated it. We didn't just start this channel. So
like with all the uproar that's going on in the world, and the the white supremacy, the white privileges, and the oppression that's going on and has been going on against African people, we have decided just to speak, and it's something that Olie has been speaking about for a while. But for me, I'm more behind the scenes. I like to talk, but I don't like being in the forefront. But it just got to a point where I was just like, I just need to say something. I can't just be waiting for someone to say what I want to say. I will come and say what I want to say. So that's why we're here.
yeah, because like I was talking to Jumi, and I was saying to her, I don't want to sit around crying about the oppression towards Africans, oppression towards my people, and being sad about it, complaining about it, or even being violent about it. So I was talking to Jumi and I said, if there is going to be a change, we have to do something about it. We really have to do something about it. So that is what actually motivated what we are doing on this channel, Afro Matters with Jumi and Olie.
When we use the word African, it encompasses, we'll be using the word African, and it encompasses African American, Black British, Black African, Australian, and other black people that are all over the world. And we choose not to use the word black. It's our choice, just because of the history of the word black, which we will go into another time. But obviously sometimes we might use the word black instead of African, and it's not for people to now point out that, oh, you use the word black. Like, we have been brought up in a world that's the word that we've been using, and so, but we're trying to change what the word we use to refer to our African people. So
yeah, exactly, because like talking about black, actually it is not the right word to define us with. Like Jumi rightly said, this will be a topic for another time. So, but today we will basically be telling you what this channel is all about. This channel is all about uplifting African people. Wherever you may find yourself in the globe, we are trying to uplift African people in whichever way we can. One important point, that won't annoy every other races. Our intention is not to bring down any other racist. We are not racists. We are here to encourage, to uplift Africans, to lift their spirits up and make them to understand that they matter, that they are not alone.
That they're valued, that they're appreciated, that their opinion matters, that their life matters, that their goals in life, their aspirations, and that they shouldn't shy away from who they are. But also too, it's also discovering Africa, who Africa is, exposing the deceits that has been made as truth. We've been born into a lot of lies, and we don't even realize that there are lies because they've just been established as truth in our lives, in our family's life, in our friends' life, and we don't know any other. So we're exposing those truths.
Yes, and again we are trying to embrace our identity and history, which is very important. Without our history, we don't know who we are. Without our history, we won't know where we are before the Europeans happened. When I say European happens, coming to Africa, so we won't know where we are. So we will try to embrace our identity, which is very, very important, to embrace our identity and our history. And again, our history as African people, it has really been manipulated, and I would say hijacked. Yeah. Our history has been hijacked. Okay, I'll tell you guys. I will tell you guys one thing that happened today. We are playing. I got this. What was that music?
Was it? Oh, that's the Lion King.
Yeah, the Lion King music. I played it for Jimmy today, and guess who is singing this song? A group of US Navy, yeah, US Navy. They were like a bunch of them singing it. They tried. It was it was a bit funny to me, but when I showed Jimmy, she's like, oh, now they have hijacked this as well. There is truth to that, because this music is like cultural, traditional, like our identity, but when they now sing it, anyways, it now seems somehow.
Yeah, the thing is that, you know, you can appreciate somebody's culture, you can appreciate their music, but the thing is, which has been a pattern for a long time, is that they Caucasian people, white people, have taken like cultures that are from Black African people and taken it as their own. And in the media, it seemed as such a great thing when it has been ours the whole time. It seems like it's only appreciated or valued when a white or Caucasian is doing it. And the thing is, that might not be the intention for some people, but for other people that is their intention, and that's how it comes off to someone who is, you know, African like me. Anyway, that's how it comes off sometimes in terms of my perception. So I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but that's me.
Yeah.
So our history has been hijacked and manipulated. So, but that's what we're kind of going to unravel and talk about in the future.
Okay, and again we will try to understand our view as a people, our view, our different perspective. We've actually categorized, when we say the word Africans, all right, we have categorized them into 5 categories, which we will mention here for you. One are Africans that are in Africa, all right? This set of people are Africans living in Africa that did not migrate, that we are not, their ancestors were not sold as slaves. That is number 1 category. Africans that dwells in Africa. So the second category will be
African migrants living abroad. They have gone to live abroad, whether it is for business, for a better life, for education, to be students. That's one category. And then the children, which is the next category, the children of those African migrants that are born in those countries abroad, whether it be Australia, that would be myself, or you know, in South Korea, or in America, the different countries.
Okay, and another, now we have mentioned 3. The 4th category are our sisters and brothers whose their ancestors were sold as slaves. those ones were sold as slaves, and they now produce generation and generations of Africans. All right, so abroad, maybe the Western world, or Asia, or wherever they are, is where they call home, but they are still African. So they are part of this fourth category, and the fifth category will be the mixed race. When I say the mixed race, some call it people of color, some call them half-breed, some say half-caste. But once they have Africanness in them, they are pure African. So we see them as Africa. So these are the categories. When we say Africa, these are the categories we are dealing with. We believe with these 5 categories have kind of brought together all Africans wherever you might find them. Anybody will fall in one of these categories. What do you think?
Yeah, it's true. And those are just categories. Obviously, we're aware that there's other factors that affect someone's identity and someone's perception, such as their socio-economic status, their education. But from what I believe, before someone even knows all of that, they see you as a black person, they see you as an African person, before you even open your mouth, before they even know whether you have a degree or not, before they know what your profession is, you're first seen as what you appear to be. So that's why we've kind of broken it down into those categories. So, but also one thing we want to say from the beginning is that we both believe in Jesus, in Yeshua, and the Most High, and we can't separate it from the things that we talk about in life, because they're all part of who we are, and they're all a part of our identity.
True that.
So in what we talk about, like, we might mention the Bible, we might mention our faith, we might connect it, because we can't remove it from who we are. Yes,
exactly. Because come, let us just think about it. There is no Africa without God. When you check, we are one of the most religious people on this planet Earth. And the truth is that before the Europeans even came to Africa to bring Christianity, as they might call it, we have already known God. We worship God, the Almighty. And this is part of our religion. No. Not religion, part of our tradition. We do not know what religion is. We call it tradition, culture. So God is part of our culture and part of our tradition. So separating it and saying religion, culture, tradition, that's not how Africa sees it. So when we talk about God, we are not trying to discriminate over religion. No. We are talking about Africa here. We are talking about our culture, our tradition, the way we know it even before the white men came to our nations. So religion, God is a big part of it. We are not trying to be all religious on you or something like that. No. We are just trying to portray who we are, who we have always been. The originality of Africanness. So that's what we are trying to portray here.
And for so long, like, the society tries to silence who you are. So you try not to show who you are. But at the end of the day, we need to be transparent and honest with ourselves and accept ourselves. And then when we accept ourselves and know ourselves, other people will accept and know who we are as well. So we're not going to hide that. But today, on the back of the fact that history has been manipulated, we're going to talk about our own individual history and experiences and how it shaped our identity and our perception. So Olie is going to go first.
Oh, why are you giving me first? I thought you were gonna start. Anyways, I will talk about me and how my environment has really shaped me, my experiences. Because originally I was born in a little town called Enugu in Nigeria. So I was born there. I did my kindergarten, primary, secondary, and even tertiary education in Nigeria, in Enugu State to be precise. So, and back then, we have this thing about, because the Europeans kind of hijacked I would call it hijack. Pardon my use of words, because that's what it is. The media. So we watch them on movies, which is like staged. So with the movies and the media, they made us see them in a certain way. We see them, we see them as the James Bond. We see them as the Superman. We see them as the Batman. We see them as the Spider-Man, you know, hero, you know, and all that. So that is how they portrayed themselves on the media. So what did that birth in us? It birthed the hunger to go over there. Like, we now started seeing Europe, United States as, oh, a place to be, a place of opportunity. Yes, they were like a bit civilized, despite the fact that civilization came from Africa. But as at that particular point in time, they are more civilized than Africa. So that now brought about this desire to travel abroad. Traveling abroad, when we say we want to travel abroad, we are talking about traveling to the white man land. Alright? So it now become our desire to travel abroad. Some want to go there and start working. Some want to go there and start further their education, which is the category I fell in. Like, after my tertiary education, I studied computer engineering. I wanted to go and further my education, do my master's abroad.
So, sorry. So, did you... So, wanting to go abroad, is that because what is abroad is better than what is home? Because you...
Okay, okay. So, the desire to go abroad, I will say from my own perspective, so I'm not talking for everyone else. My desire to go abroad is not because I do not appreciate what I have at home. I was really a happy boy. I was happy because of my family. I grew up in an average family. We're not all that rich, we're not all that poor. I appreciated my family. They brought me up and taught me what's good and what's bad. I appreciated my environment as an African, but I wanted to go to somewhere new. This place where I see all these actors, I see them on the television, I want to go there. And they have, I would say, better infrastructures. They say their electricity never goes off. Like, there are so many things, both the ones that are true and the ones that are lies, because I'm here now. So being here now, I've realized that some are not really true. Because one of my uncles used to tell me something, like, I would say, oh, I want to go to the US. He would say, listen, you want to come to the US and don't expect what you see on movies. That there is Hollywood and there is United States of America. So which do I want to go? Do I want to be an actor? I just want to come to US. So he was trying to, like, tell me something about abroad. That is not all I see in the Hollywood, in the movies. That Europe is not all about that. America is not all about that. That I might be disappointed if I have that image of Nollywood. Oh, I love Nollywood. That's why I'm always saying Nollywood. Of Hollywood. Like, I would be disappointed if I have the images and the characters I have in my head about Hollywood, and I come to the Western world with it, that I will be a bit disappointed.
And the thing is, some people might say, they might be like, oh, that's ignorant. Why would you just watch a movie and think that that is how life is over there? But then when that is all the resource you have about a country,
exactly,
that is what your perception of that place will, that's what will be formed as your perception.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, and even the reality, which is the news, like CNN, BBC, they pick and choose what they show us. You understand? The reality, not movies, not staged now. The reality, which is the news that we sometimes listen to, they pick and choose what they show us. So you see that the Westerners, they kind of shaped themselves. They kind of used the media to give us an image of who they are. But that's not exactly or precisely what they are. So they use this media to build an image in our head. So thereby birthing the desire for us to come to the Western world. So, and the truth about it is that truly they have a more civilized society. And their educational system is better, which is what brought me here. Like, I wanted to have a better education, because while I was studying engineering in the school, we didn't have all the facilities, infrastructures. So, and I said, if I would do my master's, I would want to do it in abroad. Like in a well-equipped universities with better teachers and all that. So I now travel to Asia. I first of all, I must mention this. Where I really wanted to go to was Scotland, because I have this particular course I want to run, which is multimedia. So it is multimedia, creative multimedia, and I wanted to do it in the University of the West of Scotland. But you know what? I was denied visa. Even after paying part of my fees, I was denied visa twice. And that dented me.
Were you accepted in the university then?
I was accepted in the university. I was even looking for accommodation. I have made plans for the accommodation, and the funny thing about it is that the school said that they will support me with my visa application, that they will do it and all that. But then I applied, even with my fees partly paid. I went to the British embassy and I was denied.
Did they say why?
They made it in a way you are not interviewed. They just send you an envelope, brown envelope. You open it up. If you've gotten the visa, you will see your visa. If not, you are denied, and that's it. And the excuse that they gave me is so flimsy. So flimsy as saying that they are not sure if I'm going to come back after my studies. That I have to prove to them that after studies I would return back to my country. That I have not proven, I have not given them proof enough to show that I'm going to come back. I was disappointed. I say, what proof do you need? I have the financial capacity to pay for my fees. How do I prove that I'm going to come back? They want me to show so much money or investments and everything. This is someone who is going to do their masters. But they denied me with the reason that I don't have a strong proof to show that I'm going to come back after my studies. Can you imagine that? They denied me. I applied the second time with more proofs. They still denied me. You know what? I said to myself, I chose to go to Scotland because they run the courts very well. I said, but I have a second option, which is Malaysia. And I traveled, I went for my second option, Malaysia. And they took me in. And I flew to Malaysia. Malaysia, where I worked, I studied my master's. And after then, I worked. After working, actually, after my master's, I started working with Singapore Telecommunication. After then, I got another job with IBM Computers. But you know what? When I was working with IBM Computers, I was being paid well. Malaysia is beautiful. Anyone that have been to Malaysia will testify to this. Malaysia is beautiful. The country is beautiful, well planned, because it's a newer city. So it is beautiful and all that. But the people, oh dear.
Did you experience racism there?
Yes. In Malaysia, there is racism in Malaysia. But their racism is a bit different from the racism we experience in Europe. All right? In Malaysia, Malaysian person is somehow, I would say, from my own perspective, Nigerians, they see you as a rich person. You see? They see you as a big and rich person because they believe Nigerians are always rich. So even the police is expecting you to give them money, bribery, and all that. So once they hear, oh, Nigerian, all their hairs, the hairs in their body will stand up. First of all, they are seeing you as a fraudster. They are seeing you as someone who is massively wealthy. They want to get money from you. So, and Nigerians that are staying in Malaysia are not helping matters. Some of them are into fraudulent, I must say. So, because of that, the Africans in Malaysia, mostly Nigerians, they now had this bad reputation. You understand? Bad reputation because they see everyone that is in Malaysia now as a hustler, a 419, a fraudster, that peddles money around. So, and I find myself struggling to define myself.
When you experience, because like obviously like you said, you were born in Nigeria, and then you went abroad. The very first time you went abroad and experienced racism, how did you feel?
Like, it is, I don't even know how to describe it. It is so saddening. Like, it is like someone has stabbed me so bad. Like, it pierces through my heart when I'm being discriminated. Like, it is so painful. Like, I can't describe the feeling. That is why when I put my shoes, I try to put myself in the shoes of someone who has lived all their lives in this situation. Like, I'm not calling myself privileged or anything, but I somehow see myself as privileged coming to. But when I was in Africa, I was seeing myself as less privileged. But now, when I traveled abroad, and I'll say, actually, I was privileged staying in Africa. I was privileged. Like, my ancestors were privileged not to be among those that were sold. It is not like I am higher. No. It is a privilege, actually. Because when I see the way, how racism feels, how discrimination feels, it is not a good feeling at all. It is very saddening. It hurts.
And the thing is, it's like, when the first time it happens to you and you realize, okay, yes, I'm a black, I'm an African person, that's why someone has treated me like this. and then you're conscious of it every time you now walk out your door. Like the very first time it happens, the moment you leave your house following there, you're like, okay, this might happen again.
Yeah.
Not with everybody, but this might happen again. And you can't control it from happening.
Yeah.
Because you cannot remove the color of your skin. So everywhere I go, before I even open my mouth, someone at some point is going to discriminate against me. It's different if you had a tattoo and it's the tattoo that is on your body that is what's causing discrimination. You can cover it up and then someone can treat you well. And then if you show it, that they can see, oh, you're a member of this, and then they treat you bad. But if it's like your whole complexion, you cannot hide it. That's the painful thing. And that's why some people too, they bleach their skin, they do various things because they're trying to fit in so that they don't get that hate, they get that discrimination. Obviously it doesn't happen to everyone, doesn't spew that to people, but they're trying, and it's just so sad. It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. When I was in Malaysia, there are two types of discrimination in Asia. There are Asians that are conservatives. There are two conservative. They want to be on their own. They don't want to accept you. They don't want you to come near them. They just want to be on their own. And thereby, when you come closer, they don't aggressively discriminate you, but they quietly discriminate you.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You on your own. They might not even say anything to you.
They use body language.
Yeah, gestures to discriminate. Yeah. So, and another one is those that see you, which is another popular type of discrimination, but that one has a bit of a good feeling about it. Is when Asians see you, any black man they see in Asia, they see you as black American. They will say, hey brother, what's up, man? What's up? I said, come on, I'm not American. I don't even say all those things. I'm Nigerian, I'm African. I've never been to America. So, what is all this rubbish about, brother? What's up? How you doing? You know? So, like, even when I was living in Malaysia, my pastor, whenever he wants to speak to us, but he's in a good way. He is a good guy. He's an awesome man. And he doesn't discriminate. He's not a racist. But he has this thing. He sees you and he says, hey, brother, how are you, brother? And he doesn't just call you brother. Like, he would do his head, like the swag.
Hey, brother.
So that is another form of like telling you you're black, you're African, but that one doesn't really hurt so bad. Like the one that hurts so bad is when they like completely discriminate you with hatred. With you can see the hatred on their face. Like sometimes when you come, you sit near them, they will shift. Like you have like shit on your body.
You have a contagious disease.
Disease, yes, that's the right word. Like they will just like shift
social
from you.
Distancing. Black people since the beginning of time have
social distancing. Blacks can tell about social distancing even before coronavirus. You know, so like we are laughing about it, but really, man, it's painful. It is not a good feeling. So whatever race you are from, you would understand where we are coming from. So after Malaysia, what happened to me next? Because I didn't like what I see in Malaysia, and Malaysia is way far from my home. Because I've always hoped to be going back home. That's where I call home, Africa, Nigeria. So, and
sorry, let me can I go in?
Yeah, please.
So when you were in Malaysia and experienced all of that, did that change your perception of how you see yourself? Did it change your behavior or how you carried yourself? did you feel like you had to behave a certain way in front of Malaysian people or white people that you encountered because of what you experienced?
Yes, because of what I experienced. And I told you there are two forms of discrimination.
Yeah.
So these two forms of discrimination kind of shaped me. I have to like introduce myself in a certain way or come out in a certain way. So what it did to me is I was more proud of, because
so it made you more proud.
Yes,
and that doesn't happen to everybody.
Yes, that is me. You know, so many people have different ways of like adjusting to a situation. Me, my own mechanism was being more proud. Yes, I'm African, I'm Nigerian, and so what? And hey, I'm not American. Can't you see my accent? Can't you hear it? Does it sound? Do I sound like American? I'm not. I am Nigerian. I'm Africa. All right. So I try to educate them, and some of them don't even know that Africa is a continent. That is another painful one. They'll be thinking. Some Malaysia are saying, "Oh, you come from the country Africa, and Nigeria is the capital." I say, "Oh, you break my heart."
The thing is, that happens everywhere. Even here in England, I've heard people say that you tell them Africa is a continent and they're shocked. And it's even people that are educated. It's not like these people aren't educated. Even in Australia, you tell the people are shocked. Oh, Africa is I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that.
Like a continent that is way bigger than your continent. How can you not know that they are a continent? But it's painful, honestly. Like when they say this, why I don't like get angry at them is they are just ignorant. So what I do, my little bit that I do is try to educate them. I'm like, no, that just Nigeria is over 200 million, just one. Out of many countries in Africa, Nigeria, just one, is 200 and something million people. You understand? So you should understand why it's so painful to even think that Africa is a continent, is a nation, is a country. Yeah. You know? So it is pretty painful. So after a while, because of the way I am being treated, and I have to mention this, in Malaysia you don't feel safe. Yes, in Asia you don't feel safe because the police discriminate. In Malaysia, you have a case with the indigenous people of Malaysia. There is no how you would win that case. In front of you there, they will discriminate you and tell you, go back to your country. Like the police, like in Europe here, they will kind of rub it, you know, make it look all right so that it will follow the law and all that. But in Malaysia, they would even beat you up, like discriminate you, you know. And I had an accident in Malaysia, which is obviously not my fault. But you know what the police told me? That we better settle this here, because when we go to the station, that the case will go against me. Like he told me that in front of me, and I felt so bad. That was when I decided I'm gonna leave this country. Like you don't even dare take a Malaysian to court. You will lose, because the lawyers, the magistrate, they are Malaysians. Their court is bent to support their indigents. Everything, their system is bent to put their indigents first. Even in their employment, they have a quota system where they give the indigents 80% and the rest of the foreigners 20%. You can imagine how discriminating. All the foreigners there, they gave them just 20% of employment. So before you get work in Malaysia, Oh my God.
And then some people be like, oh, but it's their country, you know, that's their country, they're allowed to do that.
Exactly. That's what they will tell you. It's my country. If you don't like it, go. They will tell you in front of you, what are you doing here? Get out. Go back to your country. In front of you. They don't care. So there isn't any law against discrimination in Malaysia. They discriminate you in front of you. Say it in your face. No law. Nothing will go against them. If the police come there, the police will even beat you. They will beat you join. If na Nigerian, they will say, they will beat you on top. You understand? So it doesn't have, there is no good feeling about it. And your visa, Malaysia, they never ever give any residence permit. So if you are working, your visa is dependent on your work. The moment your work finishes, you should buy your ticket back home. Goodbye. So they don't accept people. They don't give you don't. They just talk about your residency, let alone naturalizing there, being a citizen. It's not even possible. So you staying in Malaysia is just like a waste of time. So I tell myself, no, I'm not gonna stay here. Like, I'm not gonna stay here. I want to be in a more civilized, that's what I will call it, place. That was when I started thinking about UK.
And then you came to England.
Yeah, so I came to England. When I came to England, I would say I now saw another refined racism. Refined another level of racism with white collar. You understand? So I say at least this one is not too obvious. It's not like Malaysia, but it's a bit hidden.
And the thing is, you don't know whether to prefer that one or not. Not that you should even accept any of them, but because the refined racism, when you want to now tell somebody else, it will seem like it's stupid, like you're making it up.
Exactly.
Because it's so refined that when you now say, oh, I experienced this, and you're repeating the story to someone who hasn't experienced that thing will be like, maybe you're reading too much into this.
Exactly. Oh my God.
What can you do but laugh? It's just
man, it's just too much. And the thing about it is, in England, you now see different sets of Africans. Like in Malaysia, Africans in Malaysia saw themselves as a community. They are being discriminated, and they have like one perspective about discrimination. But in England, you now see a group of African community that don't have the same perspective of racism and discrimination as you have. You know, you now see Jamaicans who are one of the earliest migrants to the UK. You see that their perspective of the whites and racism, discrimination is a whole different thing. So it's a bit confused. And again, the ones that are playing out the racism and discrimination, they are not coming out playing. They are doing it in the background. That is why I call it refined.
And there are some too that say it to your face.
Yeah.
Like, was it this week someone sent me an article about some African boy who some white British children were telling to kiss his feet, and they were obviously for him to kiss their feet, and they were obviously saying all these racial slurs and stuff. And anyway, that got dealt with. But there is too. It does happen that people will be overtly racist,
upfront about it
to your face.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, there are people like that. They will say it to your face. But one thing that is better here in England, I must confess, is that they have a law against racism. Like, if you can prove racial discrimination, it will be dealt with. There is a law against it, that they uphold their law to an extent. So that is why I would say I remained here when I came here. So their racism is not as obvious as it is in Malaysia, and again they have a law against it. If you can prove it, if you can prove that you are being discriminated, the government will follow it up. You know, so I would say
so from your experiences so far, like, it seems like the racism has made you more proud of where you come from.
Yes.
Instead of make you
crawl back
or crawl back within yourself,
yeah.
or try to be something you're not,
yeah.
in order to be accepted. It made you more proud.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what happened to me, because I am one type of a person. I try to be proud of who I am. I am not ashamed of where I'm coming from. You might call it third world, call it dark, call us thieves and all that. I am still proud of who I am. So when I see racism and discrimination, I bring myself forward the more to tell you, yes, this is who I am, and there's nothing that would change that. You know. So, like, sometimes I'll be talking to some Europeans or English people. They say, "Oh, yeah, this accent." I say, "Yeah, it's Nigerian accent." I say, "Yes, it is Nigerian accent." Like, I don't know if what's the motive of one of these guys. He came to me and he was talking about my accent. That my accent is a bit confused. I'd say, but at least you know it's African accent. I said, let me tell you, it's Nigerian accent. So the way I was throwing it in front of him, he said, ho. Like, we are not fighting. I said, yeah, why are you have an accent? Why is it that?
I'm not coming to you and saying...
Yeah, look, Jumi, let me tell you something. They would say, even when they describe you, they would say, that guy, the tall African guy, he has a bit of an accent. That doesn't make sense. What do you...
Everyone has an accent.
Exactly. It's like they are using that word accent like it's a fault.
A foreign thing.
Or a foreign thing. A bit of an accent. That you are speaking English with English accent. You have English accent. Me, I have Nigerian, deep Nigerian accent. I don't want to sound like you. I don't want to sound English. I don't want to sound American. I want to sound African. If you can hear pidgin English, me I go to blow them for you for the level. You know, feel me? That's who I am. I am proud of who I am. I am proud of my accent. My years abroad, I tried as much as possible not to lose my accent. I want to sound Nigerian.
And the thing is, many people do the opposite. They want to sound like the country that they're in.
That's so disgusting.
Which there is nothing wrong with it. Like,
it's disgusting, honestly.
No,
it's disgusting.
It's not. I don't think it's disgusting. That is fine. Like, you adapt to where you are for different reasons. Like, for me, I was born in Australia, but I don't have an Australian accent. There are times sometimes it's even hard to like pinpoint what people from other people to pinpoint where my accent is from. But there are times too, like when I speak to my family or an African person, I sound different. But that's just, you know, like, and there's this stigma of sounding different. You want to sound like a white man, you want to sound like an American, a European, because, or even like accents that are like, you know, some parts of Europe, like a French accent or, you know, a Spanish accent that are very deep, you know, and some of them you can't depending on the person, you might not even understand what that person is saying.
He's saying.
But that accent is still better than your own, which is very clear. It's very clear. What you're saying is very clear, and you're using Nigerian accent, but somebody does not appreciate it because of your accent being attached to African, being attached to black, being attached to all that negativity that surrounds being an African person.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like when let's say a Japanese man will come now, speak English with a Japanese accent. They already know he's Japanese. They will be like, oh, he's Japanese. But because Japanese is seen in a bit of a high, level, so it will be like, oh, the Japanese guy. But then an African country that they already stigmatized us as the third world. When you talk, oh, he has this deep African, there is nothing like deep. That person is sounding like him. I mustn't sound English. I mustn't sound American. I'm African. Like, I'm a proud African. I want to sound African. I don't want to sound like you. I don't want to sound like you.
Your background, your background, the environment you grow in is what shapes your accent.
Exactly.
And if you deny that, you're denying part of your identity.
Exactly.
So
this is one of the reasons why we are doing this, so that Africans will learn to accept who they are. Anyways, I must say this: whatever accent you have, try and make it clear enough for people to hear you, because that's important. If your accent is so bad, your English is not clear enough, people struggle to hear you, that is another level.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's you want to be able to communicate.
Yes.
For somebody to understand what you're saying, to not misinterpret what you're saying.
Yeah.
So being able to clearly articulate yourself in whatever accent you have is important.
Exactly. So once your accent, you can make it clear enough to be able to communicate with people, I think it's all right. Yeah. I think it's all right. Whoever you are, Caucasian, African, Asian, you should be proud of who you are, proud of your accent. You don't have to. You don't have to try to be like any other person. Like, we should be appreciating our identity. So in Europe here, I decided to stay, not because this place is more beautiful than Malaysia. I don't think it is. But because they have this law which you can hold against them. The law can go against even the rulers. The law can go against anybody here. That is one good thing about this place. That is one thing that made me to remain in England. Even I would say I prefer it to America because of this particular reason. So that was why I stayed here. But I still try to portray myself as an African, a strong African man with strong values that believe in who I am. And I would want every African, wherever you are, to have this type of perspective, to have this understanding, of your identity, of who you are, and to understand that there is nothing, absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. You don't accept what people define you as. You define yourself. Don't let people define you or describe who you are. So that is my own story and how it has shaped me, how being abroad has shaped me to who I am today. So, Jumi?
I think because of time, we think the next video we do, we'll talk about me.
Yes.
We'll talk about
all
me.
right. So
because this is almost gone in for 1 hour.
Okay. So
so I don't want to have to rush.
Yes.
Because our experiences have been very uniquely different.
Exactly. Exactly.
But obviously, we by no means are saying we are experts in the matter, and we've created this to create discussion and to create discussion around the topic, whether you're African or you're not African, whether you're from you're Chinese, Japanese, whether you're white, British, wherever you're from, like it's just having the awareness of people and history and appreciating that. We're not trying to make people become people that are not African. We're not trying to make you become us, and we're not trying to become somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's just creating awareness and discussion. And these discussions, they're uncomfortable. Like, you have to go out of your comfort zone to talk about this. And that's why I think one of the many reasons why a lot of people don't want to haven't or don't want to talk about these issues, because it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because now, like, if I talk about this, what are my Caucasian friends are going to say? What are my Chinese friends going to say? And you don't want someone to misinterpret you, and you don't want to ruffle feathers, but at the end of the day, these things have just been going on for too long. It's tiring. So, it's not to create division. It is to create understanding. Understanding,
yeah. Yeah. To create awareness of our identity and the acceptance of who we are, the acceptance of our africaness. That's why we are doing this. So, in times to come, we will be bringing so many people to join us in discussion. We will be discussing so many things. So we will be doing this every Saturday from 3 p.m. Like
and if we don't do it by 3 p.m., don't hold it against us.
Yeah, we are African, so it's African time. if we are not prompt with the time, you have to pardon us. But anyways, we will do it around 3ish, around 3 p.m. if not exact, around it. So we will be inviting people. You can drop us a message if you have anything to add to what we are doing. You can drop us a message. Very soon we'll be rolling out our Twitter, our Instagram and all that. So you can drop us messages. You can let us know, and again we'll be doing interactive programs where you can ask your questions on
Q&As.
Yeah, Q&As. Yeah. So we want to make this as interesting as possible and as educating as possible. That is the most important thing. So we will be inviting people. We will invite people who their ancestors were sold as slaves. We will invite mixed race. We want to get a first class story about their experience of being African.
And even everybody within these categories that we mentioned before will have a different experience, because everyone is individual and everyone is unique. And like I said, it's multifactorial, affects a person. So everyone's experience is going to be different. But we'll try and bring some diversity so that there's more understanding and awareness.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of this program today. Afro Matters with Jumi and Olie. So join us again next week, same time, around 3ish. Join us in Afro Matters with Jumi and Olie. So bye for now, guys.
Should end on Afrobeat. Should have an Afrobeat outro. Yeah.